This week on Not Just Another Sex Podcast.
With doing what I do, there's a lot of back and forth guilt because I don't know how that will affect my child. And that scares me.
Because of your content.
And
I was going to ask you that. Your content is very
yes.
explicit. How do you feel like he's going to feel?
I think that he's going to be fine with it. That's what I feel. But at the end of the day, that is something for him to tell me in 20 years, like, this made me feel that way. And it gives me grace. I love the integrity behind my content. It's one of the things I just love about myself. Even when people, it's so funny. I know it sounds crazy, but somebody asked me the other day, how do you feel about that? You got a dick sucking class out and you have a child. And I was like, well, I'm going to say this once. One day he's going to grow up. And I'm assuming he's going to want someone to do that for him.
Stop it. I just got a son.
And,
don't say that.
You know, it's the truth that he's a person.
Hey, sugar. I feel like there are so many different things that I need to learn as an adult. I'm this nasty on a regular day, like on a Tuesday. I am your host, Samia Burton, and don't worry, it's not just another sex podcast.
Hey, you guys. I am Samia Burton, and I am your host of Not Just Another Sex Podcast, and we are back for another episode. So I'm super excited today because I'm joined by someone very near and dear to my heart, Carla Wilmaris. Okay, this is my executive producer of this show, as well as the owner of Idea to Launch Productions, Idea to Launch Podcast Productions, my apologies. And she's also the host of Pivot with Purpose, and she's everything. She's like a boss, like, in the flesh. We got a boss with us today. So we're going to have a real bossy episode.
We are.
Yes.
It'll be fun, too. You're so professional. The mic goes on, and she's like, this is Carla Wilmaris. I'm like, wow. Like, we weren't just twerking 5 minutes ago, but okay.
I'm very professional, I'd like to think.
You are.
And all right, this is the perfect time to say, you guys, look, my sweatshirt says orgasms.
There we go. There she is.
I'm so professional. This is the business, okay?
This is the business.
Yes, it's not just Another Sex Podcast, but we got to sprinkle a little bit of it on there. So introduce yourself. Tell us about you before we get started.
We'll find out throughout the episode too, but I, started back in 2017. I was an accountant, and then I turned into podcasting as a side gig and left corporate within 8 months. So I am now I was a podcaster for a while, and now I run an agency that does everything for you. I have an academy of podcasting, an agency for podcasting. We've launched over 700 pods specifically of color. I just did a post recently because I believe that when I started, there was no one to help me or that looked like me, sound like me. So it is my purpose now to work with podcasters of color, people of color, Black and brown, because who else is going to do it? I'm
in the way that you want it to be done.
Right.
And,
there's a lot of culture aspects and things that people don't understand if they're not your people, if they're
Absolutely.
not around you and they don't understand you. So that's what it's basically anything podcasting.
Got it.
Monetizing podcasting for our people.
Okay, we're going to get back into that, but of course we got to start this day off right with the adult tip of the day, okay? The adult tip of the day is a segment just to throw in like a little bit of therapy, something you need to know, a life hack, something like that, because adulting and getting older does not take all day. It's a couple minutes, okay? So today's adult tip of the day is do it scared, okay? Just start.
Scared.
How y'all say it?
Scared?
Do it scared.
English?
Do it scared. Do it scared. Just start. I think this one was really good for today because you guys, my heart is fluttering just a little bit because it's happening. Like right now, the things that we envisioned when we had our first call, like you guys, I had my first call with Carla in October, maybe.
First of all, if you're just listening to the pod, also go to visuals because I wanted you to start the episode. Sorry. The fact that this is the first time she's sitting in her own home. This is her content creation place. Like, we're not in the studio anywhere.
Insert hand claps.
Right. Like, yes, she's about to go into this phone call that we had, but we are starting this podcast off like, boom, in your space, in your studio.
Okay, we're going to rewind. Okay, for real. We shooting at SE Content House today. Something Extraordinary Content House owned by SE Media Group, which is owned by Samia Burton, and that happens to be me. Hey!
Right, and it's going to make all the sense in the world when we talk about doing things scared because...
Yes, do it scared. Like,
there's so many... All the stories we're going to tell, it's because we did things scared as shit.
As fuck.
With kids and
I'm scared right now.
responsibilities.
I peed like 3 times before we started this episode. Seriously. We're doing it scared, and this is our first set, so I'm loving the rest behind the visuals. First of all, y'all know these visuals be on point. Make sure y'all tap into YouTube, y'all. Run them views up for me.
Definitely.
Okay. We're doing it scared because at the end of the day, the things that you're afraid of, they can't work themselves out if you don't decide to do it. Give them an opportunity to give the universe an opportunity to open up for you. Right. Because when I called you, I was we didn't know a lot of things, but once I decided to do it, now everybody could put it on their to-do list to get it done. Nobody is putting it on their to-do list if you haven't decided. So do it scared.
Like, you weren't sure. Should I have a podcast? Should I not? And I'm taking the consultation. I'm thinking, well, you've been on everybody's podcast. What podcast have you not been on? There was a point in time that every episode that came out on YouTube, like everywhere, it's like, well, there's Samaya's face. There's a TV show, there's a YouTube show, there she is, you know? And everyone is talking about you. And I'm thinking, you're making everybody a lot of money.
You're making everybody a lot of money and not her money.
You're giving everybody a lot of views. And where are they going to?
Their platform.
You know, I'm like, but not only that, it's great to be on another platform, but then where are you sending them to?
Yeah.
You were sending them to Instagram. And you had this huge Instagram following because you were using other people's platforms, which they own, sending it back to a platform that you never owned.
You know what? This is my show today, and you're not working, and I'm the boss today, okay?
I'm sure.
No, for real, y'all. We are gonna get into that later. She's so used to running my show and telling me, "All right, go ahead." I'm gonna act like I'm the grown up today.
You were so scared doing all of this, and look where you are now.
I do, and I love it. I love every part of it. So the adult tip of the day, you guys, is to do it scared, okay? Because you never know what it's gonna look like in a few months, in a few years, and the point is, do it. You owe yourself that. Twitter, and y'all, we're gonna come back to that. Don't worry. We're gonna talk about Twitter today. Twitter Talk. So Twitter Talk is this segment that we came up with for controversial topics, things that are always discussed, get you talking, different perspectives, and of course, it's to pay homage, I think. Homage. Every episode.
English is not my first language.
It's mine, and I should still ain't got it together. But every topic that's almost controversial or even big on other platforms probably started from a Twitter thread or something like that. So today's Twitter Talk is, does everyone need a podcast?
No.
And I know Carla's response, but it's so crazy because one of the biggest things about me being afraid to start was that, you know, I was starting kind of late. When I actually started Sexual Essentials, it was kind of at the that's when podcasts were getting big. That's when Horrible Decisions was starting, and you know, sex was being talked about.
You've been messaging me for years to get on Pivot. You've been messaging me for years to get on others' pods, and
y'all see how she holding me accountable in front of y'all, like
years. But go ahead.
Yes, look how she looking at me. And she's right, but it's so crazy because in our consultation, the thing I was like, well, you know, everybody has it, and it's because on Twitter, it's like everybody don't need a mic. Take away y'all mics, like please get off the internet. And the thing is, I don't think that everyone necessarily needs a podcast. I think everybody is looking for a place to be heard and feel seen. And I'm not knocking what anybody else does, but for me, I was dedicated to myself to say, if we're going to do this, we are going to make it purposeful. I'm going to be intentional. I'm going to be vulnerable. And I'm going to do it right so that way everybody don't think they need a podcast.
Correct.
People are doing it wrong, which is why they think it needs to be more podcasts, which means that what can I do for this lane to make this real? And it's like, yeah, girl, you ain't even in your first year, but guess what? Right. I still said what I said. This is what I feel. And 5 years, and guess what? All these podcasts were out, and I still felt they're not doing it the way that I would do it.
And there's no right or wrong way to podcast, but there are wrong intentions behind podcasting.
Yes.
So everybody has a different method they speak, but then you start getting people saying, I want to do it because they're doing it, or I want to have what they have. And that's when a show doesn't work. Their podcasts, they talk about fishing, literally.
And it works.
And they work. And they make so much money because that's what they love to do. It's their purpose to be there doing that. They have a movement. You have a community. Some people are like, I don't take any clients anymore that come to me that say, hey, my girlfriends and I be having some dope. I just want to talk about everything with my friends. I'm not the person for you.
Yeah, my heart fluttered when I did that consultation with Carla because I knew that she did not accept everything. You guys, she has a show, 1, 2 shows. How many shows are nominated for?
1.
Okay, she has a show that's out that's nominated for an NAACP award. She has She is the producer of Know For Sure, which is B. Simone's podcast. And the list goes on and on. Like, they're on the charts. So when she told me, she said, be very clear, this is a business and we're doing this podcast and you're going to make money. And I only accept clients that are going to make it easy to do that, you know?
And by making money, just because sometimes they're like, I'm looking at your YouTube numbers. They're not Know For Sure numbers. That's not the only way you monetize a podcast.
Yes. And we're gonna get into it.
Okay, go ahead.
We're going to get into it. I'm so excited, you guys. I'm my executive producer on the show. In my shit.
You are.
If you're watching the YouTube, I'm pointing at my orgasm sweatshirt. If you're not watching, rather. Anyways, so yes, the Twitter talk is, does everybody need a podcast? And it's not to be messy. It's just to ask yourself, why are you doing it? I think there is nothing more discouraging than starting up a podcast and then you can't make it a year because you don't have enough
They don't
content.
make it 10 episodes.
10 episodes?
No, I'm serious. Over 90% of people that start pods do not go past 10 episodes.
You know what's crazy is that when I first started Sexual Essentials, trying to do everything and wear every hat, there was a podcast and it got to 12 episodes.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was just like, this isn't, and don't be afraid to say, this isn't working. Mm-hmm. Like, don't be afraid to stop. But when I did it, I realized this is not my forte. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I need more help. And so I tabled it. And it's just crazy how things come back around because
one of the things that I do want to say on that, why everyone doesn't need a podcast, to me is very important, the power of the tongue. Mm. The things that we speak on, they can become reality. And there are children, there are other people that are in vulnerable spaces where when you say something with your voice and it gets heard by the masses, you don't know the impact that can create.
The responsibility of influence.
There is a lot of responsibility in your influence and your affluence and the way that people receive your message. So just be very careful. And that's why I never preach everyone needs a podcast. I could tenfold my income if I just take anybody.
You did everything.
Right, and just took on whatever clients. But no, because it's so important for me not to have, for me personally, to have an Andrew Tate on a microphone. Period. That you shouldn't be on a mic.
And on that note,
the guys from Miami, fresh, so clean, not so they're whatever the fuck they are, it shouldn't be on a mic, not to that extreme to get just clickbait. Feed the souls of some people. How are you making them better?
And what's crazy is that I know a lot of people say, everybody's creating content. Everybody has a podcast. For me as a person that, we've talked about like all my past, it's a lot of relearning that I'm doing. It's because people are putting these other thoughts out there that I'm learning. So if I don't know what's going on, I don't know what's real and what's not, and I'm listening to this, like, this is why people are thinking what they're thinking. They're thinking this is real life, but it's like you showing up as a personality.
And this is just an hour. It's like everybody has a podcast. People work 8 hours a day in front of a desk. When I was in corporate, I used to have like 30 pods I listened to on rotation. People have time. They're not just subscribed to one podcast. Yeah. They're subscribed to like over 10 pods that they're listening to on a regular weekly basis.
To feed into all the parts of them.
And everyone has different opinions. Yeah. And you should go find the person that has your same mentality, but also we have to be aware that there is society out there that we are also shaping and molding to our thoughts. And you don't know when they're being vulnerable and listening to you. And they'll go doing some dumb shit. Or we can put life into them and they can do something great.
The messages that I get, that I've even gotten already, just on the episodes, are just like, I needed this. My soul needed this. Like, that gives me chills. That's, a responsibility. Mm-hmm. Anyways, thank you for joining me for Twitter Talk. All right. So to the meat and potatoes, y'all. Let's get into these topics. So, your first podcast, I want to talk about how you didn't have a lot of followers, how you stayed on the charts, how your ads were 6 figures, and all of that. What do you think are the components of an amazing podcast?
The word authentic gets thrown around out there so much, but I think that if you know who you are and you're not afraid to be an open book and be judged, that makes a great podcast. So I started, and I love her to death. My best friend Dex, I started with her. She's a super introvert, very private person. So I'm over here telling my business. All my business, like everything. And she's just like, yeah. And I'm thinking, bitch, let's go.
Tell something too.
Come on.
Don't have me out here by myself.
It was kind of like pulling teeth sometimes. She's like, she doesn't feel comfortable with it. So when you're in front of a pod, and you don't have to tell everything, because Lord knows I tell a lot.
Yeah.
But it's still not everything. A lot that you don't,
it's
right, there's still a lot that I don't. And then eventually as I work through, I speak to it. But you have to be willing to be judged and not be scared of that. Or have a podcast that's specifically, you know, about business. But even then, you still have to be vulnerable for some people to have that connection with you. You're in my ear all the time. So I think that's why mine became, you know, as successful as it did for me and what I consider that, because I was charting and getting the listens and was able to sell live shows within 8 months and do all of this. And it was because I was okay with being judged for who I was because I love who I am.
Hey, you guys, it's your host, Samia. If you're enjoying the topics over here, honestly, I think you'd love the topics over on my learning platform. I have some private interviews over there with some amazing guests. I've interviewed Mr. Marcus, yes, that's the porn star, Passion Jones, who brought on her husband and her boyfriend, and even had some girls' night conversations with Medina from Cocktails as well as Mila from Good Moms Bad Choices. That conversation was amazing. We did some examples of our dirty talk, and let's just say you need to check it out. Don't just take my word for it. Make sure that you click the link below and sign up today. There are over 250 workshops, classes, interviews, and so much more. All right, now back to the show.
You know what I love about the way that you produce shows is you want to hear the why behind something before you knock it down. And I'm learning that from you, which is everything that I would do. If I did the whole show the way I would do it, I wouldn't hire nobody else. We wouldn't be doing this.
Right.
It's some of the things you won't agree with. Some of the things it's not, oh, I would have did it differently. That's the point, you know? And in kindness, not like I disagree. It's just, I think we should do it this way for that. And I think that being open to the entire picture of the podcast, not just the content itself.
Correct.
So like even, there are 2 points that come up for me specifically since starting the show. The reels, right? You know, we always put out at least two reels for every episode, and I usually don't like one of them.
Really?
And yes, and you know, Stephanie, our producer, always has to talk to me on the phone, and she's like, "This is a great reel," and I'm like, "I respectfully disagree." Like, I love the way you set it up. It was it's flawless, yes, but those aren't the points I would have picked to highlight. What about the deepness? And Carla was like, "Everybody don't like deep, Samia. Some people want to laugh. Some people are a little messy. Some people like, you know."
We're giving them 60 seconds, and that's the marketing aspect of this is a business.
It's a business.
This is your baby. You love this content, right? And I'm looking at it more as what's going to get us eyes, what's going to get us seen, what's going to get us money, what's going to get us clicks that still embody the work that you're putting out.
Yes.
You know, and bringing them back.
Not just
because
the content.
if I just give you everything in 60 seconds, it's like, well, you come over here.
Yeah.
But in those 60 seconds that I capture you.
It was, for us, it was more so, and I had to stop focusing on Sexual Essentials, letting go of the brand from the past, because with the podcast, the reach is for so many types of people that Sexual Essentials may not have been for.
Correct.
You know? And I love that. So now my branding has just expanded in such a different way.
It's like a Venn diagram, right? Your Sexual Essentials is here. Here's Not Just Another Sex Podcast. And there's a part where both of them go there. It's sexual. There's a part where they're both together, you know? And that's the happy medium of all of your stuff. But then at the same time, who listens visually is very different from those who really love audio, from those that are really sex driven, some that aren't, you know, all of that. It's just thinking of the big picture of the business of the pod, outside from your emotions. You're emotionally invested into this. And I am too. I love it, but it's not my business.
Yes. Me stepping away from something and not being so hands-on has been beautiful for me. Like, this feels like a job. And it's like, I always wanted to work a job that I was passionate for. And I really love the space that I have to show up and just be talent. And even more than that, I love the fact that Carla is going to try and figure out how to, for you to do it the way you do want to do it. So one of the things that we said is, I told her, I said, I'm ready to tell my story. And I want to talk about all the, I felt the tear. I am not about to mess up my makeup.
She's still here. She can touch it up.
She can fix it.
Makeup artist is still here.
One of the biggest things I told her was that I have, if I'm going to do this, I have to tell the full truth. And I want to tell my story. And she was like, okay, well, how would you like to tell your story on this show? Like, being given that space to do that. So we've come up with this thing, like, with a lot of people do solo episodes on shows, but my solos have soundboards on there because I get anxiety about telling my truth and sharing my trauma and things that I've never said out loud for the first time and things like that. So being able to say, hey, well, do you have a friend you want to sit on with you and you talk about this, the space to do that has been nice, because most people are like, if you have a guest, you need to.
And even to be even more transparent, I don't know if you remember, I was at a gas station talking to you, I think in Jersey. And you were about to go on for sure. I wasn't flying down. I don't know where I was. And you went and you were going to tell your story.
And I didn't.
After that episode happened, and I'm producing it, so I'm listening to it, and I'm like, this wasn't it.
This was not my. And I told her, I said, I'm gonna tell my story.
She was ready to tell it.
I'm gonna tell the truth. And I got on there and I said one sentence that my friends called me about. And I remember it because y'all made it a clip, and I said, "Oh my God, it's on the internet. It's really out here." The clip was it's like a reference to my parents and growing up in a household where, you're a little bit in competition with your mom, because of my dad, and I called and I was like, it's time for me to tell this story deserves to be told on my shit. And she was like, thank God.
I was like, well, about time, because you said you was going to do it here. It didn't happen here. But I also told you, are you really ready?
Are you ready?
We're not starting.
She's like, in 30 days. Like, what you talking about? And this goes back to do it scared. So that brings me to the conversation that we had. I want to just tell y'all, like, the stuff that you don't see behind the scenes. I think that when you look at podcasters, influencers, entertainers, you think that, dang, that this stuff just worked out for them, and and oh man, they got money, and and all these other things. But I want to talk about the first conversation that we had outside. So we talked about like the content and you saying like yes, but when Carla asked business questions though as well. After we get through all that heartwarming and this will be great content, all that, she's like, okay, so how are we gonna do this? Where are we doing it? What's the budget? Where are we gonna shoot? And so I was like, I want to shoot at my own place. She's like, okay, where is it? I was like, well, I don't know yet because I ain't bought it. And then there was that pause, and she's like, okay.
I'm not gonna question you and not tell you, girl, please, like, be realistic.
She said,
I don't know. I have always said the things that I put out of my mouth, this tongue is powerful. Positive or negative. So I have to put out there positive. And that's what you're thinking. Okay.
There was no doubt. She was like, okay. So she was like, well, where do you want to shoot? So we used Full Court Studios in New York for the first set. And I said, for the second set of recording, we will be at my house. And she was like, do you know what city your house will be? Could you help us? Just anything? And I was like, no, but I'll get it to you and I'll figure it out. Y'all, we showed up to do, first of all, we recorded during the holidays. We did Thanksgiving. And I believe in work-life balance, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. So we recorded over the holidays.
Well, we spent Thanksgiving at home. We left the next morning.
Yeah, and then the next day we left.
Yeah, it was the next day.
And she was like, when I got there, I was like, you guys, I'm under contract for a house. And she was like, for real? And then I showed her the house, and she was like, you are under contract for a house. A house.
This is a mini mansion.
That's what my friends have been saying.
I think it's a little bit. It has it's two houses in one.
It has two kitchens. You guys, please make sure you follow us at SE Content House so you can book and, record your content.
And Atlanta loves content creators. And if you're coming to Atlanta, a lot of people are coming to create content and come on pods and do like shows. This is the house.
We have a chef. We have food. We have open bar. It's nice.
She's creating a cigar bar. Okay. No. It's gonna be so nice. I might be coming to Atlanta more often. Yes. I could probably get a boyfriend here.
Oh, I want a boyfriend. Okay, we got to. That's a little later. So then we got the house, right? We signed for the house. I signed for the house.
But we is her, not me.
Every time I do something, I'm like, we did it, you guys. We did, but I did no money in here. No. So I signed for the house the week before Christmas, and then I was like, you guys, we got it. She was like, okay, so we're good for this recording day. I said, yep, we're gonna be there. She's like, will you have a set? I was like, yeah. I have an interior designer. So we found Naya, and she came in, but she was like, so you're gonna have a set though? I was like, yeah, I have sound, I'll have everything. And then the week after I bought the house, the ceiling roof fell through.
She sent a picture. Oh my goodness.
She was like, now Carla was trying to be, like show empathy, but she was like, but are we still recording there? Do I need to find a place? I was like, no, we're gonna figure it out.
And I ain't gonna lie to you, business. I have a list of 2 other places we were gonna go to. Prices, dates were available. I'm like, just in case she calls me and says we can't record, I had the backup places here in town.
Yes, but I love the fact that there was no doubt. I couldn't hear any doubt in her mind. No. She just kept asking the questions that had to be asked, and I love that. And here we are on the only set that's ready. That was ready for today.
Well, actually, technically, we could turn it around. How about the chairs?
We could have.
We have another thing we could do with a table. We could do 3 sets in here.
And all the rest of the stuff is in the mail. It's all coming. It's all been delivered.
It's
ready.
It's a journey, and I think that I want you and you guys are gonna see from behind the scenes. I'm gonna make sure she takes you guys through this journey. You know, when this set will change, the growth of it. These chairs at some point will be different. This wall might be a different color. You know,
getting comfortable with change.
She's gonna have guests from you're gonna go through the entire journey with her on this pod. It's like a spoken journal in a way. You'll learn some shit and you'll also grow with her.
I think that brings me to the next point, which is, what are your pros and cons of living this life of one, as you can call it an influencer, as an entertainer now, as a talent, a voice, and how does that reflect in your life? And I know some of my pros and cons, and one of the pros, the hugest pros for me is that I have a job that nurtures me through getting better with change. Change is something that's so hard for me. And if you have anxiety, then you know what I mean. Like, it's the repetitiveness that makes you comfortable. Mm-hmm. And this journey has had so many changes. Even like today, we had some people that couldn't show up, and the way that we roll with the punches together, it's helping me with communication and my emotions and anger and so much. And that's why finding gratefulness in all of it, because every time, like, I was in there getting my makeup done. I said, damn, I can't remember shit we were supposed to talk about. Like, for none of the episodes, y'all.
That's fine. That's what we have.
She was like, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Like, and I love that for me.
I love that for you. I love that for you.
I do. I love that for me. So what are some of your pros and cons?
Pros. I'll start with the cons, because it's been a few years now that I've been doing this. It's been about 6 years. And living in the life publicly has made me want to be more behind the scenes. One of the reasons why I started producing more pods and helping other people do it. But there's something within me and within my own purpose that I've been a storyteller for a very long time. And I know that I can evoke emotion out of a lot of people. And I know I can bring stories out of others. So as much as I've tried to fall back from my own pod, and I use it now as the picture of what my agency can do. This is what
you're your own example.
I am. But those stories are still very powerful. So I try to be in the back end, because it is hard to be on Reddit and being called all kinds of name and people being really mean, but then there's so many that are positive as well. Yeah. So it's that balance. So there's times that you want to say, fuck it, I don't want to do this. Like, y'all suck. Yeah. You know? But then that means I'm just focusing on the negative people. So then I just take my day or my couple hours and suck in it, and I'm like, cry about it. This is so mean.
Oh, we cry a lot.
Yeah, cry.
We hella be crying.
But wake up and bounce back up. Yeah. You know, and say, no, I'm good. I'm making a difference. This is the reason why I'm doing this. And then just, finding some type of balance within it. But there are a lot of pros. I haven't experienced more cons than pros.
No,
I haven't. It's more pros than cons for sure.
Okay.
But the cons are low.
The lows do be low. The lows are low
But there's a lot more pros to doing what you love. I don't think it's just being an influencer. It's just doing what you love.
You know what
This could have been accounting for me.
This couldn't have been accounting.
No, it could have. If it was my purpose and it was what I loved.
You're good for more than one thing.
I love doing this.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it's a big pro.
I love that it uses both sides of your brain, because accounting is one thing, right? Yes. But this lets you be a creative, but still use the same skills that make you a great accountant, which is the organization.
More business. I was a terrible accountant.
That's one of the things I like about this, is that I have a business degree.
Mm-hmm,
so I get to be the talent, but when it comes to setting it up and making it work, a part of me has to do that business stuff that I got my degree for.
This is a business.
Yes, I love that. So I have another pro-con. One of the pros for me with Sexual Essentials was some of the attention and validation of being heard, because I don't feel that I grew up with that. And I did not grow up with that in the way that I needed. And it felt good to know that I was helping other people. It felt good to know that other people were like, you know what, I understand that, and wanting to hear me. When the Instagram page was taken away, I realized it's beautiful to have that, but I have to be the one that validates me, period. And I believe that that's a lesson that I'm so glad that you know how I feel about the Instagram page. Y'all, Carla gonna give me my Instagram page back. It's gonna be so amazing. Anyways, don't say that. The power of the tongue.
I'm gonna get it done.
She's gonna get it done. I believe in her. And I believe I had to go through that for this, because This podcast is different. It's about the entire story. It's about the trauma, the healing, the accountability, this is where I played a role and fucked up my own damn story. This is the part. This is when I did something that was beneath me. And it's about telling all of you guys my truth so maybe it helps you not make the same mistakes, to help you get out of certain things. And I had to go through that lesson before. So for me, there was a pro that I'm being validated, but then that became a con because when that was ripped away, I didn't have it for myself. So being able to sit with that for about 4 or 5 months or so, and coming back now I can appreciate that it's helping people. Right. But really, I'm good before I step on camera. I've decided that I'm validated already. This was good for me already. Like the lessons that I'm getting out of it and the humility of sharing that I'm not a perfect person and I have the balls to tell you because I really want better for you too. I feel so powerful. Like
it's divine timing. You weren't ready when you first thought you were ready. Like you thought you were ready before you even went on your crazy podcast tour all over the place. You had already hit me then. You wanted it then, but it wasn't the right timing. Yeah. But the same happened with B. B hit me in 2019 to start the podcast. Then again in 2020, and then it didn't happen until 2021 for us to launch in 2022.
You know, I had a standing meeting with my best friend about podcasting for a year before I called you.
Jesus Christ.
On my calendar, every Friday at 1 p.m., there was a podcast meeting on my calendar. And we didn't show up to that meeting one time. One time. But guess what? It's like, I want to do something. And sometimes I leave stuff on my calendar that I'm not going to do. I put stuff on my to-do list sometimes that I'm not going to get done because I don't want my mind to forget that this is on my to-do list.
And for you, it's podcasting. For some of y'all listening, it's a business. It's a side hustle. It's starting something different in your life, a healthy journey that you want to go on. And you're like, it's on my to-do list to start that diet. It's on my to-do list to start working out. It's on my to-do list to start, that little business. And you're like, oh, but it's just so little. No, start it.
Yes.
Start it. Put the time behind it. So it's like everything that we're talking about here, that's podcast. For some of you listening, it might not be a podcast. It
Make sure you apply it to your life.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hey, you guys. Hope you're enjoying the show. I just had to stop by and let you know that if you have not ordered your thigh-high socks from Sexual Essentials, you're behind. I know how it feels to buy lingerie and you say, ooh, I'm going to be real sexy and put it on, and it's sitting in the back of your drawer collecting dust. Let me tell you, the thigh-high socks are just so convenient. They're super sexy and they're actually comfortable. So instead of feeling like you have to make that large leap into lingerie, try the thigh-high socks. Your partner gets to see you looking sexy as well as yourself, and they're super comfortable. Don't forget to use our code NJASP for 15% off. Tell your friends and make sure that you get your favorite color before they're gone. All right, now back to the show.
So let's talk about the pro cons of motherhood, being in entertainment and being a business. Y'all got to understand it. Carla is the bossiest of bosses. Okay, like I'm talking about feminine and like womanly and all that stuff. But honey, if something ain't right, it's no. She will tell you no. No, this is not going to work. I understand, but no. Like, I love that about her, and I'm watching her. And so in business, she's amazing. But I know what I feel as a mother, being a businesswoman. And so I saw that breath.
Kids are hard, man. I have a 17-year-old, a whole teenager.
A 17-year-old.
She'll be 18, and I have a 2-year-old. Never in a million years did I think I would have a 2-year-old. And I still struggle with that because I didn't expect to be, a single mom of 2 kids with 2 baby daddies. There's shame behind that at times, right? That I'm working through right now. But being a mom and being in this space, she's watching. And everything that I do, I know I have a little girl watching, and I have a son that's going to grow up and eventually see it because it's lived on forever.
Yeah.
So I'm very careful with the content that I put out. Now, am I extremely PC? No, actually. They tell me to shut up all the time. I also work in radio, and I get in trouble all the time.
Yes.
Always breaking some FCC rule. But I believe in everything that I do. A lot of people don't, or things that I say or how I view things. But as long as I'm okay with it, and I'm okay with my kids seeing it, that's fine. And there's things that I've said years ago that I now change. And I don't think
you can change your mind.
And that's
yes.
okay. And I want to show her I can change my mind, and she knows that. So everything that I do is with my kids in mind, but that also makes it very difficult, knowing that there's someone watching you.
Yeah, all the time.
All
yes.
the time.
I love the fact that you said I'm working through that. Because it's not, you guys, sometimes I think that you think that once you're done with the healing part, you'll get started on this thing. You will never do it if you're waiting until you're better, because life is an ongoing learning experience. And if you're not learning, you're dead. You should be learning something.
New levels, new devils.
That's
literally
a whole nother.
Every time I keep opening these doors and I keep going into these different levels, and I see you doing it as well. Again, we have been in communications, not friends, not close, for years.
Yes.
So I've been watching.
We've been in contact with respect.
Correct.
Yes.
And I'm watching you, you're watching me, and every door, every level we have unlocked has came with a whole new devil.
Set
And it's
of
just like
things.
in those little video games, every time you go to a new level, the devil gets bigger.
Yeah.
The bad person
There's
gets
a new
bigger.
bad guy.
Yeah, and it's like they're
Or it's
bigger and
more
they're
than one.
stronger. And it's just like yes. Or there's more
when I
than
be playing
one.
Mario World and then the
It's hard. It's
when you
hard.
get
I've
on,
been playing Tetris
I'm just
lately.
saying the first one you be like, oh, I hella won, and then the next one is like,
Yeah.
oh, it's 2. I was like, I didn't even know it did that.
Right.
Yeah.
Now there's 2, and you can apply that to real life as well. It's like you come up and it's easy, and you get higher, and then it's now your family against you, right? And you're like, whoa, this is a real
I
big
wasn't even
devil.
thinking. I wasn't even considering this.
That down here, that would have never happened.
Yeah.
They liked me down here. But then I get up here and it's different. And then you go even higher, now you lose friends. And you go even higher, and now you realize you didn't know how to manage your money. Because it was easier to manage 1,000, and now you have here 100,000. What do you do with that?
You don't know what to do
Because
with
you
it.
thought you saw 100,000, but there was 80,000 in expenses.
Yeah.
And you were doing, every time you go up, there's something else that everybody thinks it just gets easier the higher you go.
You have
and
to
it
master
doesn't.
the level that you're at,
And then you heal there.
and heal there,
And then you go up
the
and you're
doors.
like,
The doors will open naturally. We think that the door is locked. It's not opening because you just don't have the strength to open that door yet. For me, with doing what I do, there's a lot of back and forth guilt because when I originally did all of this, Sexual Essentials was a healing tool for me. Not Just Another Sex Podcast was a graduation of me becoming a different woman and becoming someone that I would love to be.
Right.
But there's a realization that this person, I don't know how that will affect my child. And that scares me.
Because of your content.
And
I was going to ask you that. Your content is very
yes.
explicit. How do you feel like he's going to feel?
I think that he's going to be fine with it. That's what I feel. But at the end of the day, that is something for him to tell me in 20 years, like, this made me feel that way. And it gives me grace. So I know that on some of these episodes already, like where I've told my story about my parents, I do not hate my parents. If anything, doing parenthood and as a businesswoman gives me grace. Because at the end of the day, I am doing the best that I can.
And I'll tell you from experience, he won't resent you because, as you know, I don't speak to my mother. There's no contact there. I don't speak to any of my close family. And my daughter does. And she sees those boundaries that I've put up and she understands them. She didn't understand, but at 11 or 12, when everything was happening, she hated me for it. Running her room, now at 17, as she's going to be an adult longer than she's going to be a child.
Yeah.
So hate me at 11 or 12. Be mad at me, but you'll understand why I was doing what I was doing then, now, and now she does. And I feel some type of like relief. That it's like, yep, I was out here and I was talking and I've been very vocal. I wrote an open letter to my mother a couple of years ago. I think we used this stuff. I don't know what episode, one of the episodes for Pivot Purpose, an open letter to my mother that I actually sent to her. And that was big.
Yeah.
It took me months to get it done. She heard that.
You're telling your daughter the truth. And
Right.
Yeah.
And she heard it, and I already told her about it before, but your kids, they will go through a stage, but to me, the most important thing is they're going to be adults. And at some point, they will understand what you did while they were children.
Which is why you don't open them up to it now. Like, I don't see, and people are like, oh, where's your son? I haven't seen him. As I grow, I post him less, you know? My phone is full of his face, okay?
Right.
More than mine, but it becomes, and I start protecting him. And so for me, I love the integrity behind my content. It's one of the things I just love about myself. Even when people, it's so funny. I know it sounds crazy, but somebody asked me the other day, how do you feel about that? You got a dick sucking class out and you have a child. And I was like, well, I'm going to say this once. One day he's going to grow up and I'm assuming he's going to want someone to do that for him.
Stop stop it. I just got a son.
And
Don't say that.
you know, it's the truth that he's a person. And if anything, doing business and hearing other people's stories and their truth, I want to be a parent that when my child gets older and he tells me his truth, that I have learned enough to hear him, respect him, and hopefully set an example about how to do better about your boundaries. And
you
so
do it very elegantly. You don't, your content, your content is not.
It's very classy.
Yes. There's some that you look at it and you're like,
classy and nasty.
Some people are like, you do it and you're like, that just doesn't sound good. But you are sex education. And in our community, we're not taught that.
Yeah. And it matters. And
so
it's affecting the relationships.
It affects so many relationships of men, of women, of girls. So you'll have a son that is aware of what you do. And he might respect a woman or a young lady a lot more like, pussy. I hear pussy all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and then what it does and what a woman should have and the respect that I should have for her. So he's probably going to look at sex a lot different.
I'm doing the best I can with what I know. And I for me, that's a back and forth pro and con of this job, as well as like the traveling and being away. And so
but he's not watching his mom out here being whored out. And you know, anyone in sex work, like that's what you do. But that's not what your son is seeing with you specifically. And he's seeing a businesswoman.
Yeah.
Anything that you're putting out there, there is some type of check
something behind it. It's something.
And if it's not money, it's impact. If you know, and you do
purpose.
You do it with integrity.
Yeah.
You do it with tons of integrity.
That matters to me. I have a question.
Right.
When did you realize you were that girl? Or have you realized it yet? What do you think about yourself?
I eat, shit, and sleep like everybody else.
Yes.
But
you're that girl. Do you?
I think you have a few hype people, and you're one of you're up there.
I spot y'all. When I watch her, I want to know. Like, do you know? Because now I'm forced to ask myself that question. Now I have a team that I pay. Now I have technically you call them employees and things like that. And they're telling me like, you're amazing. And I'm like, damn, does Carla know she's amazing? Because now, I'm like, thank you. Yes, I am. And it took so much for me. And so I want to know, what do you think about, because you're changing my life. I'm doing the thing that I'm supposed to do because you're doing what the fuck you're supposed to be doing. So now I got what I need.
I definitely feel like I am in my purpose. I mean, I went through a really rough 2022. My life changed in an instant, literally. It was the blink of an eye. Everything I thought my life would be, it's not. And I had to adjust quickly. And then sometimes when I question, having my son, it's like, maybe I needed to have him so I can become who I am right now. And have the strength to get up every morning, because I don't think I would have been getting up in the morning if I didn't have a kid. I don't know how to cook, clean for herself, take care, you could drive. Yeah. I would have just been in bed. But me being that, I think I'm just being me. I'm being me. And I've received the same message. I still bring up, because it made me cry, a message that Stephanie sent me one time. I woke up from a nap and she was just like, I paid my bills from podcasting, and I was just like, I sent that check, and I'm cutting certain, and I want to do so much more. Like, I cannot wait to elevate, but it feels good to know.
That's gonna be the next you for sure.
I work with May, and she's the one that does in LA, another one of my producers. And I tell them, I'm like, I want to create more of me. I don't want to gatekeep.
Do what you need to do.
Yes, I elevate. You guys elevate with me. And I think when you bring people like that, I'm just living in I really feel like I'm walking in my purpose. And that doesn't mean that shit's not hard, because it's difficult.
Oh, it's very hard.
And I still have to remind myself to be confident, all these things, but I am walking in my purpose. And that sounds I say it all the time, it sounds so stupid for people that don't know theirs.
But when you know it makes sense.
Because I was that girl, that's some bullshit. Purpose, what? Y'all are full of shit.
Y'all so earthy
Moons
and
stars,
and
bitches.
The universe.
With the zodiac. Y'all ain't even Christians. You know? They just don't even believe in purpose. But once, I thought y'all was all lying. But it's true, and you won't understand it until you feel it. But you also have to be very intentional about finding your purpose. Trying different things. I started with Shit I'm 30 because it was just a podcast I wanted to do. That led me to open up so many other doors.
I'm so glad that you said trying new things.
Yes, because sometimes you suck at something.
Trying new things. Well, I want to make sure that while we're here, I'm letting you know that I'm giving you flowers. And I just want to thank you so much for doing and being who you are, because now there are people that I'm not going to let down as I do what I need to do. So thank you so much for doing that, because when I decided to do it scared, I found you. I found you, and I just love the way that Carla and I both knew exactly who each other was. And I did not meet Carla until our consultation call, but it was just like, hey, girl, we need to do this. She's like, yes, we do.
I have
It's
about
just
10 clients I've never been in person.
That, hey, I was like, no, you gonna come see me in person. Come on, when you flying down?
Hey, you guys, it's your host, Samia. And for those of you who didn't know, I'm also the CEO and founder of Sexual Essentials. One of my favorite parts about building that brand was creating a learning platform that has over 250 workshops, interviews, and so much more. Some of my favorite components are the sex position demos. Yes, you heard that right. Demos. They're featuring some people that you may already know. Good Moms Bad Choices has demonstrated some positions for us, as well as Dara. You remember her from our first episode. Those are some of my faves, as well as the lingam and yoni massages. These are great additions to add to your oral loving for your partner. Yes, I said oral loving. I'm trying to keep it clean, guys. Anyways, they are great additions and a great way to spice things up. Outside of our masterclasses, add one of these on to your normal routine and really wow your partner. Click the link below or in any of the links in our bio and sign up for our courses today. All right, now back to the show.
But since we're talking about starting something new, I think we're going to go ahead and segue into our advice segment. Patrons, y'all know I love y'all, but now we have to send it to the podcast email, notjustanothersexpod@gmail.com. Please send in your advice letters. But until then, I will, figure out a topic. So today's topic is if you need advice on how to start masturbating. It's not just another sex pod, but it got sex up in there. So Carla, you can help me do this segment. Would you like to talk about?
I don't know if I can help her do the segment. I'd be a part of it.
You're going to help us, all right? So it's not just another sex pod.
There's an expert and an idiot.
Not an idiot. Don't talk about my friend. All right, so tell us about your do you masturbate?
I can only do it. My daughter, if you're watching this shit, this is time for you to get off, okay? I know you'd be watching my shit. Go now. Shut it off.
If you're watching this, don't.
Okay. I can use a vibrator, and I think I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I feel a little something, so I'm like,
Hold on. Let's pause there. So my first tip on advice is let's be clear about what some of these things mean that you feel. Are you saying you feel orgasm?
I think so. I don't know how to squirt.
You produce my episodes, so I know that you know that squirting isn't an orgasm. But yay for you.
I know how to do something. I know how to do doggy style.
And two, if you're not sure, then I'm going to say that maybe you haven't.
I don't know.
You don't know?
Maybe. I think there's been some good times.
Okay, so are you going to try some new toys?
I don't like Nintendo.
I'm gonna get you some stuff. I brought you some stuff on this trip.
Jesus Christ. The crazy thing is that I produced this, and I'm not a sexual person. And also, one of my best friends has one of the biggest sex podcasts. So I hear about this stuff all the time, but I'm not. Masturbating hands, I've always said it feels like rubbing my elbow.
Okay.
I feel nothing. Like there's nothing there.
All right.
Cool.
This is good. The advice for today is if you are trying to begin masturbating, the advice is to talk about it. Okay. Be clear about where you stand on it, because if you're not like, I don't know if I'm sure, or if you just won't talk about it at all, then you're not going to be able to get into it. So you just saying, you know what, like you just told me about it. You just described like, okay, well, this feels like this. And guess what? When you go to someone and you're looking for help now, that those questions and that response would help me to tell you what to do next.
But I think we also talked about the fact that sex is such a mental thing.
Yes, it is.
And I suffer with really bad anxiety. But I told you I had a medical, I probably shouldn't have a medical condition. Sounds awful. But it wasn't. I had a vaginal medical condition. Like, what else did you have? No. Fuck, I feel like I gotta say it now. Yeah. I really think I was fucked up.
It's not that.
It was cancer. So I had cancer, and vaginal cancer. They did the surgery. It created like spasms. So in my head, it's a lot. So I think some people don't realize they might have had some type of trauma down there that I didn't realize till like older. I'm like, maybe I'm not experiencing things because I'm still so scared of the pain that I used to have.
Yes.
Before they knew what I had, you know? So maybe I haven't tapped in fully into my sexuality just because down there it's been a medical thing, you know? It's like,
it's a lot of mental it's a lot of blockages, especially for you. you in your, even if you didn't have a cancerous or, medical situation, there is a lot of anxiety with having a coochie. And I'm sorry, it is. You got to water it and you got to dry it. And if you you got to water it, but if you don't dry it properly, it grows stuff. Like, it's crazy. Like, I'm just saying.
But then you look at him like, well, you're out here fucking and you got kids. And I'm like, well.
Some of those things come along with other things I wanted. Well, the advice for today is just to talk about it. If you can't explain to me what's going on with your vagina, I cannot help you. So when you guys are sending DMs, when you're sending advice, everybody's answer isn't the same. So saying that I've never had an orgasm is not enough for me to help you know what's next, because everybody's thing is different. When you even telling me that, that helped me with a couple things. One, you're not opposed to touching yourself. No. When you do touch yourself, the feeling that you feel. So I'm like, if that means that, it all helps. So you're
like an educator.
I am
you know the body.
Yes. So when it comes
you know where the nerves be at and stuff.
I know that if you have a trauma behind something, I've had a trauma behind something, my nipples. I didn't feel them at all.
I don't think I feel my nipples, but I also have a boob job.
Well,
I feel them. I'm feeling, again, I'm not a sexual.
I didn't know you had boobs.
Yeah, I know I have the best doctor.
What?
Yeah.
If I ever have another kid, though, all right, we're going to move on to the...
Listen, my doctor, I've sent at least 10 people to my doctor. He's amazing.
Okay, they give you a discount on your, if you ever get them done again then?
It's been 13 years. I still don't need them. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to have to get a reduction or something. I need a reduction.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Feel good?
If you look at my boobs and my orgasm sweatshirt. Okay. You guys got to watch the visuals. Anyways, okay, so that is my advice for today. If you are trying to figure out masturbating, make sure that you can describe the process, what's going wrong or what's going right or whatever you feel.
I'll take better notes next time I try it.
Okay. You gonna call me for? Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm holding you accountable. Now we on the mic. Okay, so today, next we're going to do the spiritual tip of the day. I am an earthy woman, university,
stars and moons
type of bitch. I ain't gonna lie to you, I am. And so the spiritual tip of the day is designated to whether it be astrology or crystals or a mental shift or something like that. Something mental, all of that. That is the spiritual tip of the day. And today's spiritual tip of the day is positive anxiety of doing everything you said you were going to do. And today, while I was getting my makeup done and I just started crying and my stomach was just stirring and she's like, take a minute. And I was like, I'm so happy. And she's like, how do you feel? I was like, I'm so grateful. And my stomach was just, I haven't been able to sleep because it feels like Christmas every night because I'm like, I'm doing what I said I'm going to do. And more than that, I'm watching the people that I'm working with have a good day at work when they're with me.
That's awesome.
And that makes me feel really good and the anxiety that comes with that. So I want you guys to understand that there is a positive anxiety that happens too.
I mean, from what I can hear from my therapist that I keep paying.
What they say?
They said that there is good anxiety. Like anxiety is not bad.
Okay.
It's your body telling you something, that you're feeling something. I think for folks like me, it's an overdrive all the time. And that's, being at that extreme, it's not good. But we all are supposed to have some type of anxiety. Like your body is reacting to something. Mm-hmm. Or it's like you're meeting someone that might be a little toxic and you feel like it's good, but that's really, that what you're feeling, that little, what you thought is passion, where you think it's like, oh my God, it's anxiety, and your body telling you, hey, it's an alarm.
Yeah.
And you just need to listen to it. It's an
actual red flag.
It's just knowing how to listen to your body and what it's telling you.
I think that's why it's important to do the things that you're scared of, do the things that you really want to do, because if you don't give your body enough experiences, you won't know what you're feeling. Right now, the way I feel,
how you feel?
I feel so damn good. Like, I feel so good. And you see how much stuff go wrong. Like, there was a hole in my kitchen. And I was like, y'all see my house, though? Like, yes, I'm crazy on some days. Like, oh, my God, it's a hole in my kitchen. But also, it's a hole in my kitchen because I got a kitchen.
Because you got a kitchen.
So all of that. But I think that what I think in my head, and I'm a little nervous to say it, but is that when it's time for me to do what's next, I will recognize that feeling, because now I know right now how good this feels. So the next thing because change is inevitable, right? And it keeps happening. I'll know. Like I like that feeling that you're talking about, that anxiety feeling when you meet somebody, I felt that all the time, and I should have went the other way.
Right.
And I went into it.
But now you kind of know what it is.
Now I'm starting to feel like, no, this is good and this is bad. So do more things that give you more feelings, because the more data you take, the more you'll be aware of what it feels.
Focused mindset, right? It's like, oh, perfect example. My roof is caving in. You could have literally just threw your whole day off. And I see people do it constantly. Oh my God, this is terrible. I feel bad. And it's just like, hold on. But what do you have?
Yeah.
You're having this problem because you actually do have a home.
Yeah.
You know? It's like if the production goes bad and it's like, oh my God, but even the production went bad, I still have the company that can make it better and we can fix it. And I try to always look at things with a glass half full. Always look at the positive side of stuff.
Something that I realized is I was like, damn, this year's starting off a little rough. And I was like, no, the fuck it's not. My plate is full. I asked for each and everything. Everything that I asked for everything that I asked for last year has already shown up for me twofold. The difference, it feels like God delivered exactly what I asked for to my doorstep. And it's just, you got to assemble it. That's what I feel like.
Yeah.
And the assembly is a little annoying, but guess what? I got it. I'm here. Like, this is it. And when you ask for bigger things, like you said, big, more levels, bigger devils. When you ask for a lot on your plate, that means it's going to come with more things. And so you have to get better with rolling with the punches. I'm not being positive because it's annoying. It's because in retrospect, with where I really want to go and what I want to do, those things really don't matter.
And I think some people might, if you're listening to this and you're like, things just fall on your lap or they just work out for you. They don't. This is years and years of putting yourself out there and doing the work. Same over here. Things don't fall on my lap. It seems like it. It's like I get a DM from Ebony K. Williams. Hey, I want you to produce season 2 of Holding Court. A DM. Is that really that fell on my lap? Or is that the fact that, oh, but she's also friends with your friend? Yeah, but I'm around that friend and that friend is doing productions with me and I'm opening up the doors here and I'm still posting there and they're viewing me here and seeing my product there. That's not falling on my lap.
Oh, it was not falling on your lap.
God and the universe putting things together when you keep
doing the work.
Do the work and people will start noticing you're being spoken of in rooms that you never even imagined.
And you're on you were on my vision board. I was like, that when I come out with a podcast, I've been out for this many years, right? So I've started Sexual Essentials 5 years ago. Right. I could not come out with a basement podcast. I couldn't come out with, oh, this is my phone and we throwing it up on you. My following deserved more than that. Because I've been doing this for 5 years. So we've been buying these products. Why would you not put out a great product? So reinvesting that money back into the business.
I mean, I walked in here and there's all kinds of merch. We got cups, we got mugs, we got bucket hats. I'm just like, oh, wow. You got the thing for what's the thing for the mics?
Oh, they in the van. They and Charlie.
She has it all. And it's like, nobody's going to believe in your vision more than you. And I always tell every client that I have, you need to be your own cheerleader. Yeah. Oh, I can't post about it every day, 3 times a day if you have to. And whoever gets annoyed by it can unfollow you. Yeah. But you will gain more than you will lose. If you always check like your analytics on Instagram, you'll have a bunch that followed you and a whole bunch that unfollowed you. And that's okay. Please unfollow me if my content does no longer serve you.
Because I need it peaceful over here.
Yes, find something that serves you. If I no longer serve you, go to where there is someone out there with a different pod, a different Instagram, a different Patreon, whatever it is, giving you what serves you.
Well, I just want to let you know you were doing everything that you're supposed to be doing. When I knew that it was time for a podcast, there was nobody else that I was going to. And I was just like, you the one. You that girl.
And I took you on because you are that girl with your content. And I've seen you consistent. The same way that I have producers. Like I said, everybody that works with me, I watched them for over a year be consistent with their stuff. And then and only then I trusted them with mine. Absolutely. If you take yours that serious, then you can take mine that serious. Yes. And if you have taken your stuff this serious, then I'm like, then I'll put an entire team of videographers and audio people and flight producers and come to another state. This is my time.
People have to be able to trust you. Like think about everybody that's here. When they're like, okay, this is their schedule, You got people ready to start quitting their jobs because they're taking up time. If you don't do what you're supposed to do and you don't follow through, now people were arranging to be here. Like there is a responsibility. I really enjoyed this episode. And I want to let you know I love you very, very, very much. And
I don't usually jump on pods. I like to be behind the scenes now.
You want to go back to your spot? Please tell the people where they can find you.
Everywhere, Carla Wilmaris, Wilmaris. Idea to Launch is on Instagram. You can find me on the radio at Fly 1031 Orlando every morning on my morning show. If you need help with podcasting,
And she teaches classes, you guys. You don't have to start off
You don't
doing
have
the
to start doing
production.
this.
No, she will teach you how to produce your own because, like we said, you need to see, and that's why I love that you teach that class because you're teaching people, hey, yes, I will produce your podcast, but you may not need me yet.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to learn how to produce something your own
And you'll
build up, and then maybe you will come back to me.
You will find your passion through that podcast. And it could be that you're already an entrepreneur of some sort. You want to bring brand awareness to your stuff. It doesn't have to be that it's a multi-million download podcast. It'll still make you money.
When we said that everybody should not have a podcast, it wasn't about size. We weren't talking about size at all.
No, not
we
at all.
talking
Some of the most successful pods, one of my clients made $3 million last year, and he averages 500, between 500 and 1,000 downloads an episode.
500 and 1,000 downloads?
An episode. You've already beat that by 5 times each. Thank you.
I didn't know that.
Because I'm not telling you anything else. That's all you're getting. But to put this into perspective, this man has made millions because his podcast is a lead generator for his business, and it just creates more intimacy with the clients that he's already. You can make money in so many different ways.
So be your authentic self. Tell me why you want to do this so I can tell you your options.
Absolutely.
Yes. When I tell y'all, Carla was like, and next episode, you better have on your merch. So I have on my orgasm sweatshirt and my orgasm sweatpants.
And where they going to order them at?
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah, my boss is like right here. I'm working with my boss today. TheSexualEssentials.com, or click any of the links in our bio. All of Carla's links will be below. Please make sure that you get your thigh-high socks. There is a sale. Actually, the thigh-high socks, the merch, the mugs, all of that. I'm holding myself accountable to make sure all this is updated on my website. But use code NJASP, not just another sex podcast, for 15% off your order. There's a lot of different merch on there from Sexual Essentials, as well as now Not Just Another Sex Podcast. So,
you know what I'm willing to do?
What?
Give people a discount on a course if they wanted to start it on their own from the beginning.
You guys, she's gonna get y'all some money off. Okay, so we will put a code. Do you want to think what the code is now? NJASP?
Yeah.
NJASP?
Say it again.
The initials of the podcast, y'all. Not Just Another Sex Podcast. Yeah, NJASP.
I feel like we gotta come up with a different
I'm
code.
telling you, them letters get me every time.
I think we're gonna put, we could just make it Samia. We're gonna make
Samia would be easier.
Samia 200.
You guys, we're regular people.
Yeah.
We're regular people. We're figuring it out as we go.
It's just Samia. Definitely my code is gonna be Samia. I'll put
Her
it on.
code gonna be Samia.
But if you don't, this is not the production you want to do, and you want to learn how to a self-paced course to learn about podcasting. You learn about editing. Like one of my students from that class, Imani, she now produces a huge pod. You know, in networks. She's like in networks producer. My producers came from that course.
You don't have to be the talent, you guys. You can go and get into podcasting and do a lot of things.
You get paid first behind the scenes.
Photographers, videographers. You want it consistent. You know, you tired of shooting portraits, tired of graduation photo shoots. Okay, how about you a photographer on a y'all? There's a photographer here, Giles. He just rolled his eyes so hard. So look here, people. You need to challenge yourself, and guess what? The more that you teach other people what to do, you can have them take your place, and you can move on up. So just make sure you guys check the links below. Make sure you read the captions on Instagram and stuff. Whatever giveaways we have, we will list it all there. We don't have it figured out, but guess what? She feels obliged to give us a discount. We gonna take it. So I love y'all so much. Make sure that y'all watch the YouTube and share this with a friend.
Yes.
Please rate and review. Whatever number she just said, I'm about to ask her about it because they won't tell me my numbers, y'all. I just show up for work. They don't tell me nothing.
We're still not talking about it. But definitely leave a rating and a review. We're going to highlight those on episodes. We want to shout you out. We want to make you part of the episode. Just go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify. But Apple's where you can leave a review. And it takes literally 2 seconds. You scroll, 5 stars. Ding.
And it also helps me know that we're doing something right.
What you think about it, there's a sense of validation when people are looking for the pod. It helps the podcast, grow even more. And you can do that without having to buy anything. If right now you're like, it's not on my budget.
Yeah.
How can I support her? This is the way to support Samia. Leave that 5-star review, leave that written review in Apple Podcasts. And that definitely validates her. And she can go get the checks from bigger companies while you're helping just by getting free content.
Yes. Thank you so much, you guys. And make sure you tell a friend, and we will see y'all next week.
Yes, she will, because we're going to make sure of it.
Yes. Interview with my boss.